Да, конечно. How do I look? Good.
That was an honest question. How does she look?
Yeah, I'll just stay there and look pretty, that's it. So. Okay, anybody who familiar with what happens with the Yellowstone Park and with the wolves? Have you heard the story? You might have heard that story about how wolves change the flow of the river. No one? It's a beautiful story. I'll just share with you because I was so affected by this. So what happens? The wolves are predators, and usually people will find it enough cost to eliminate all of the wolves. So what happens with the Yellowstone Park happens with many different areas, and then I will connect it with your health. Okay. So what happens? They eliminated wolves, and Yellowstone Park basically start dying. And when they reintroduce just one pack of the wolves, Yellowstone start blooming, and new shrubs and new population of birds appear. So it's connected with the pollinators and with the new trees that pollinators will use, and trees start blooming. So the flora and fauna become so rich that suddenly the strengths of the whole park becomes so strong that the river found new ways. So that's why the story calls it wolves change the river. So the question is, how did they do this? Who knows? Who has any idea how wolves did that? Any ideas? No ideas. Okay, here's a clue. There was a big population of deers, and deer start eating all the grass. That's how deers to begin with, it seems to be as innocent as a deer. They start changing the flow of the whole nature. And they eliminated grass, they eliminated many animals who ate the grass. They just lost, what they ate before. So gradually, the whole Yellowstone lost its landscape, it's a proper landscape. When wolves become reintroduced to this, they start eliminating first dead deers. So they regulated population of the deers. Good story already, right? So interesting, right? So when I was a little girl, my mom said, do not go to this dark room because there is a wolf. And when I was a child, I said, where? What is it? I wanted to see what is it, so I had no fear. But when we grew up, we learned how to be fearful. That's why you're in this class. Is this class about fear? Connected. Okay, so the fear in many ways stops us from progressing, because if you see fear and if your mom said, just be careful, don't go there, you actually don't know what's there, what's beyond the fear. So the same fear happens when they were fearful of the wolves, and they eliminated them because wolves killed the livestock. But together, what is it proverb? Together with the dirty water, you throw away the baby, right? So they throw away the wolves, and everything ran down until they reintroduced the wolves. In Russia, wolves considered to be doctors of the forest, because they regulate population through eliminating the weakest of the animals, right? So it's kind of it's a fair, right? Fair game. What happens with the fasting? So I'm specializing in fasting, which means starving, right? Are you familiar with the fasting? Anybody familiar with the fasting as a healthy healing modality? What do you think? Well, let's start from you. What do you think about fasting?
Okay, so I'm not too sure, but I heard that fasting creates new brain cells, like neurogenesis. There's a link between them.
Neurogenesis, good word. Okay. And did you look up deeper into the subject? How is it connected?
Oh, well, I just saw a video on TED.
Okay, great. There's a video. So before it was just a fear, and considering how pharmaceutical company wants to dominate the world, right? Like your mind. So there is a self-healing ability. Who else wants to say something about fasting?
I don't really know much about it. I just like saw it like on some videos on YouTube.
So it exists, right? So it's kind of, once you hear more about it, it's kind of become a little bit more legal, right? It's not like I'm from another planet. So who else wants to tell anything what you know about fasting? Do you understand my English? Okay, because I understand myself perfectly. Okay, so who else wants to say something? Okay, you bring it.
Some people do it for like religious purposes.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know why.
Well, any guesses?
Just for any religion, like sometimes they call for just like to, what is it? Recognize like some power over you. You have to not eat or something like
Maybe
that.
quieting the mind and connecting, instead of with just food in your stomach, directly to your heart and God, if you believe in God, or just spiritual, right? So it's like quieting, right? So anybody still thinking that food gives us as much power, as much energy as actually no food, or power of spirit? Food versus spirit. Energy versus our energy as a human. What's more important? Is that a clear question? What's more important? Your spiritual desire or food to supply you with the energy? What do you think more important? Food. So still on this side of scale. Okay, food. You can't do anything because you're bombarded with all these messages, right? Food, food, food. There are a lot of restaurants around, right? It's hard to believe that people during the World War II, for example, they had no food, but they fought the war and they won, right? How? Without food, without anything, like, without clothes, without shelter. How did they do this? They follow the spirit. They had an idea. And the same thing happens with religion. But let's go back to fasting. So we already, I think I'm being very convincing that there is a food energy and there is a spiritual energy, right? But fasting is not really spiritual energy. So when I first saw the little book of fasting, it was a Paul Bragg, American guy, and he belonged to the science that called Natural Hygiene. Natural hygiene meaning that you expose yourself to the sun, you run in the morning, you rub yourself with some kind of brush, and you eat only raw food, or sometimes you don't eat, and you only being positive. It's good to be positive, right? So even just the small thing, being positive, already helpful to go forward, right? But there is more. So he healed himself from many different diseases, being positive plus other things that I listed. So what happens? I believed that you can heal yourself, and I heal myself from some condition called rosacea, and I lost weight and become beautiful. And I was like 24. Okay, I did it on my own, and I was very excited because 10 days I suddenly didn't eat. How can you do this on your own, 10 days? So this little book was very, very convincing because he described his own experience. And until I come here, I did not know one important word. And I was searching because I'm a scientist. I have a biochemistry degree, so I cannot just take it as something spiritual happened to me. I need to dig up and understand the process. So the process called autolysis. Autolysis is a two-root word. Auto, it means self, and lysis, it means chop it up and digest. So far, everybody with me, nobody sleeping? Right? Okay. Pulse? Okay, so why is it important, autolysis? Do you know that bear sleeps through the winter and even give birth to little bears? Do you know that? Many animals have to survive these seasons. It's very difficult to understand it when you're in California. I understand that. Of course, there is only one season, right? And you just can go to another season, like up in a mountain, and come back to summer. So it's like very confusing to even understand the concept. Nevertheless, in a majority of the world, there is 4 seasons. So during summer, sometimes in the desert, it also happens that animals cannot eat. I mean, they have nothing to eat because everything is burned down. So they have to hibernate. They have to sleep somewhere. And sometimes they're smart enough to accumulate fat. And sometimes they are not smart enough, so they just, like in a cold season, that amphibians become cold. But we're not talking about amphibians. I don't think it's a good example. So they just change their own temperature and survive in a cold, right? So they kind of pretend that I'm like a piece of ice. And, you know, it's work for them. But forget about amphibians. It's part of different lectures. Bears. So bears walking in the woods and eating everything, you know, they actually omnivores, right? So they eat berries and know where to find vitamins. And they're smarter than us, actually. No McDonald's, although right now bears can actually ruin the garbage and eat everything that you didn't finish, and they become addicted to McDonald's things too. But anyway, bears survive on their own fat. Anybody try to feel your own fat around yourself? The more fat you have, the more winters you can survive. Congratulations. Actually, when my little girl was very little, I took her to Hawaiian dance class, and there was a woman like this, and she's like, "Are you surprised that I'm going to teach you how to dance? I'm Hawaiian." And she said, Hawaiian are considered to be beautiful when they're fat because we can survive the difficult situations of what is it, like starvation? How do you call it? Famine. Okay. So either they have to survive this famine or no food. So they have to sleep, and during sleeping, something miraculous happens. During sleeping, they go through the process of autolysis, self-digestion. So they do use food that they accumulated, the fat, to use it for their own heating, the slow-going processes of the whole body. So it's a good thing. Same thing happens when you go through fasting, except something else happens. Have you heard about, maybe you heard about, word apoptosis? Apoptosis, have you heard about?
Yes.
What do you think it is?
Cell destruction?
It is self-destruction. Do you remember what kind of cells?
Yeah.
Cancer cells. So basically, in a translation, apoptosis calls, it sounds very nice. It's a fall of the leaves. But in reality, it has another name. It has a name, programmed cell death. So basically, we are programmed to self-destroy. But we are, like our body, is smart enough to destroy only those cells that are standing on your way toward health. So when you stop feeding yourself, hopefully McDonald's thing, right? When you stop feeding yourself, your whole energy, 80% of your energy goes to digestion. So I don't know how you can even run when you eat, because 80% goes to digestion. So it's just like where your energy goes, where it is, digestion. All this energy goes to self-healing through apoptosis and through autolysis. So it's not that you eat a piece of chocolate and you hyper and you can remember all the class like before exam. It's actually easy to cleanse yourself. So when you get energy through fasting, meaning you take out your own garbage, because we accumulate a lot of garbage. When we have a lot of biochemical processes, it's a lot of garbage accumulates. Like when you eat, you poop. Excuse my French. Okay. Same thing happens with your cells. When they eat something, they process, they develop energy, they create some electrons, so some battery charge, and then they poop. if you do not do exercise, if you do not allow yourself periods of fasting, if you like, okay, 2 o'clock, okay, it's at lunchtime. Actually, in Russia, it's 2 o'clock. Right now, here is at 12 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, you have to eat your bacon because you may be dying by 9 o'clock. You know, when I try cereals here, I was like, what is it promoted cereals here? So I have to survive until 12. I couldn't survive 15 minutes. I wanted to eat another cereal. Anybody have same experience, or am I just being Russian? Okay, so it doesn't make sense really. So this food is not nurturing. So eventually I started eating raw food. R-A-W? I mean, raw, I can't pronounce it. But you understand. So raw food has vitamins, right? That's the food for your cells. Otherwise, when you eat McDonald's, it's a poop of your cells. So when you eat McDonald's, your body saying, what is it? What do I do with it? So it starts putting it in a packets of your fat. And your fat cells, usually it's the same amount of fat cells. So they can shrink and they can grow. But they have a good functions too. So I will not talk about the functions of fat cells. Nevertheless, they also become a dump of this McDonald's food. I mean, McDonald's is just an example of all this processed food. So if you eat dye, if you eat taste enhancers like MSG, you heard about MSG, right? Monosodium glutamate, right? Heard about MSG. So this is something that makes you eat more, but it doesn't make any sense for any of your cells. They're just thinking, just how to eliminate it. So when your cells think, oh my God, what do I do with it? Either it's dumped in a fat and it stays latent in a fat and sleep there, or it's actually waiting for you to fast, and during fasting, all these poisons, like different food items that are not nutritional items, become released into the bloodstream. What do you think happens when bloodstream survives this release during fasting of different dyes and different MSG or whatever? What do you think? What happens with your body? Do you think you will feel this moment when you fast and everything from this dump eliminated through your bloodstream and through your lymph system? You know what's lymph system, right? Okay, you know that, right? So it's like a sewage, right? What do you think happens with the body? Any guesses? You have a headache, sometimes you have a migraine, you might have a vomiting. Vomiting is a good thing because it's immediate elimination, right? You might have all kinds of diseases. So all symptoms of diseases is a manifestation that your body is a dump of chemicals. So here is the fasting. So we learn about autolysis. Let's go back to apoptosis. Apoptosis, our body biochemically. Are you sleeping away? Am I overwhelming you? Do you want to like make a break and dance a little bit? Because I like to dance. No, okay. So let's talk about apoptosis. So we went through how to survive the winter. Now let's talk about how do we survive, for example, things like cancer. So cancer is usually something that you're fearful of, right? In reality, it's one of the concepts of the cancer because you can look from different point of view. Cancer is actually helping your body. It's accumulate all the cells. It's protect itself from the rest of the body, and it's become a tumor, so it does not spread around. That's why when somebody, and I'm being very careful introducing this point only as my opinion. So I'm being very careful because it's a very controversial issue, right? Very sensitive to many people. So like seems to be like everybody have to have a cancer at some point. So unfortunately, so it's a missing point right now that this tumor protect itself, protect cancer. So cancer is sort of like a mistake. You can stop this mistake with a fasting or with a periodical fasting, let's say one day a week, you start fast, right? So you just start your automation. It's completely different automation, completely different biochemistry. It stops digesting, it starts fixing problems, fixing DNA mistakes and fixing cancer mistakes. So with introduction of so many chemicals, no question that we're going to mess up our metabolism, right? And cancer will be just an indication. I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to, I create this ugly cell, but I'm not the one who to blame, right? Watch what you eat. Watch what you think. Watch what kind of medicine do you put in yourself. Anybody try to put like 1 or 2 pills of medicine in your body? How do you feel? Anybody feel immediately good after medicine? And I'm not talking about painkillers. I feel good about painkillers. I mean, some medicine is necessary, right? So I'm not advocating against medicine. But this is what's important. There is a medicine, there is a surgeon who needs to sew something, like sew your leg when you broke it, right? But diseases such as chronic diseases, such as diabetes, it was found in the beginning with the volunteers that you can heal it through fasting, through raw food, through juices, through like wheatgrass juice, right? And it's done with the doctors. It's done with the doctors with a license. So same thing with your own body. It finds the way. When you understand what the way of self-healing, you would celebrate your health, because you cannot go back. Even if it's like very, very delicious, you will think, but it's crap. I can't eat it, right? So anyway, that's at least in my ideal world. Okay, so apoptosis, this word. Apoptosis, programmed cell death, also eliminate cancer cells, because cancer is not necessary cells. So they just modified and they ugly cells, they have to be thrown out of the body. So apoptosis kill cancer. And actually all of it is done by our immune system. So you cannot create immunity with an immunization. I shouldn't be saying that. It's my opinion. You should create immunity with what? Who tell me how you create your own immunity? How do you create your own immunity?
I would say lifestyle choices,
Yeah? What is it?
exercising,
Eating carrot? I know carrot. But anybody? Only one is saved here? And I want to save the world. Just one. Okay.
Get
It's a
sick.
good beginning.
You gotta get sick on your own and survive.
Stress. You have to get really fearful for your life, right? I don't want to read your mind. I don't know. Is that what
Yeah.
you were trying to say?
I mean, it's just like how you build an immunity to like the cold or anything. You have to catch it, and then you get over it, and then your body has an immunity to it.
Yeah, actually, good point. Because even at the temperature, high temperature, the one that doctors say, oh, Tylenol, immediately. Oh, okay. So it's just a little bit. Are you tired? Do you want to sleep? Because I'm really, if you want to sleep, just lay down and sleep. Because information is overwhelming, right? So anyway, whoever is not, whoever with me, temperature kills unnecessary cells. Temperature is a spark of lymphocytes in your body, and that's how you experience it. So lymphocytes start developing. Lymphocytes is a part of the immune system. So if you have a pimple, and if you have what's the name of this disease? Flu. During flu, if you have a pimple, you might get rid of pimple because flu will burn it, basically. So it's a good thing. The way to deal with the temperature is just to have something cold compressed to your head. You can use a cold shower. You simply help your body to deal with the temperature. That's all it is. Okay, so We are clear on a cancer and we are clear on apoptosis. What else? My childhood health, autolysis. Adults here, children. So I, oh, carrot. Okay,